All right, so this lesson is from the story, The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. So if you haven't watched the story time yet, you should do that before you do this lesson. Or if you have the book at home and you want to read it, or you watch it on YouTube, whatever you need to do to refresh your memory about the story, that's what you should start out with. You are going to need these items. You need these materials, something to color with, something to cut with, and something to paste with. You also need these three papers, two with the speech bubbles. One says the pig, one says the wolf, and one with a wolf and a pig and glasses. And you have two options for the final part. You can use a piece of construction paper, a big one, and you can complete the assignment that way. Or if you don't have construction paper, which is totally fine, then you can use your language arts book, and you just turn to a page where you have two blank pages. So what you should do now is pause me and then come back to me when you have all your materials ready. Oh, by the way, look, there's Goose. Okay, all right, I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so here's the next step. Please make a force field around both speech bubbles and then cut them out carefully all the way around the speech bubble. And then carefully cut out your wolf face and your pig face and your two glasses. And then put them out in front of you so that we can get started with creating our masterpiece. So I'm going to have you pause me now so that you can take care of those things. I'm going to pause, and then when I come back, it's going to be like magic, and I'll have everything all set, just like you. See you soon. All right, so you can see that my two speech bubbles are cut out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue my speech bubbles to my paper. If you're gluing these to your notebook, that works exactly the same way. Just one page gets this, and then the other page gets this, the other one. So I chose to do the pig first, and so here's the pig's perspective, and then on this side, I'm going to do the wolf's perspective. Then what I need to do is I have my little figures that I cut out, and so I'm going to try to make a little bit more space on my desk, and I'm going to glue the piggy right below the piggy's perspective, and I'm going to glue the wolfie next beneath the wolf's perspective. Got that right. Okay, so there we go. Now that we're all glued, and we're going to leave these off to the side for a moment. We're not going to do those yet. Now's where we talk about something called perspective. So in every story, whether the story is written down like a fairy tale like this one, or it's a story that you tell to someone else, you put your own perspective on something. Perspective is sometimes what you view, and then sometimes perspective is actually how you view things beyond just your eyes, how your emotions play into things, how your personal knowledge plays into things. So for instance, you guys have a different perspective on first grade than I do. Because number one, I've taught it for a bunch of years now. And number two, I get really excited about different things because I'm an adult and I'm the teacher and I get excited about teacher things. You have a different perspective on first grade. You're seeing everything for the first time. And things that I find exciting, you might not. And that's what's so neat about perspective, is that that's okay. So how do we use perspective when we're learning? So how does this tie into why are we doing this in first grade? Why would we want to study something like this? perspective is something that you're going to have to view when you read things in the future. So they won't necessarily ask you questions about the character's perspective, although they might. But what they'll say to you is, read this story about the three little pigs, and why would the wolf have a different view on what happened than the pigs do? And you have to think about what is the motivation behind that person's perspective. So what we are going to do is we are going to fill in these sentences together. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to explain what's happening here, and then I'm going to ask you to pause and try to use your green dictionary and write and fill in what you would say. And then I'm going to fill in what I said. And if you're really stumped, you can just write what I wrote. That's no problem at all. But I want you to try to think about this, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Okay, so you should pause me now so that you can write down. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't pause me now. You don't know what to do. Let me first explain what to do. So first, we're going to talk about the pig's perspective on the three little pigs, the story. So this is what the pig would say. First, the wolf is bad because. Why is the wolf bad in the pig's perspective? What did the wolf do? Please fill in that sentence. Second, he is mean because blank. Why is he mean? And then lastly, he should say blank. What do you think the pigs think the wolf should say about all the things that he did to them? Especially from their view. I mean, the house and, calling them names and, trying to trick them. So, and you'll notice that we're starting with words like first and second. This is a way for us to organize our thoughts. I don't always use first and second, but you probably see that a lot on our website, because what I'm doing is I'm organizing the thoughts for you, the reader. And so that's the same thing we're doing here, is I'm organizing my thoughts. So once again, please answer the question. First, the wolf is bad because blank. Why is he bad? Second, he is mean because blank. He should say blank. Okay, so pause me now, try to fill those in on your own, and then if you get really stumped, you can just turn back on the video and you can check your work with mine, and you can always just use my answer too. That would be just fine. So I'm going to pause mine and fill mine in, so it'll be magically done. Okay, so here's how I answered the questions. First, the wolf is bad because he blew down 2 houses. What had happened to the third house? Oh, that's right. That pig was a little smarter. He made out of bricks. Can't blow down a brick house. Second, he is mean because he tried to trick the pigs. Remember, he tried to say that he was just looking for sugar. I'm not sure that's what he was looking for. He should say sorry. He could say lots of different things. It depends on what you think the pig's perspective that the wolf should say. So if you need to copy mine or use some of my spellings, you should pause me now so that you could pause the picture and then use that. All right. So now we're going to go to the wolf. So put yourself in the wolf's perspective. Remember, he's saying that he was just trying to make his granny a birthday cake. He didn't have any sugar. If you don't have sugar, you're going to have a really tasteless cake, unless you have applesauce. I don't know why I just didn't use applesauce, but anyway. So he tries to go get sugar from his neighbors, the pigs, and they were quite rude and piggish, weren't they? And he says that they said that, first of all, they ignored him. They told him no. They told his grandma to sit on a pin. Oh my gracious. So imagine how the wolf is feeling. So first, I am not blank. I wanted blank. Second, what happened was blank. I'm blank. Okay, so now you need to fill this in. First, I am not blank. What would he say he is not? I wanted blank. What would he say he wanted? Second, what happened was blank. How would he describe what happened? Think back to the end of the story. He said, what? Lastly, what would he say? I'm blank. Okay, so pause me now. Fill in the wolf's perspective. I'm going to pause mine and fill mine in. And if you need me, then you can go back to the video and you can check your answers with mine. Okay, so here are my answers. First, I am not a big bad wolf. I wanted a cup of sugar for a cake. Second, what happened was an accident. Lastly, he said, I'm innocent. Remember, he said he was framed. To be framed means that they take what happened and they change the facts and they make it seem like you're guilty. So that's how he describes it. Okay, so you can see that their perspectives are very different about what happened in the story. Hold on one moment. And it's interesting, they both lived this event, and yet they had very different ideas on how and what went down. And so it's interesting if we think about this for our own lives. If something happens, sometimes we have to think about it from two different perspectives, not just ours. Maybe if someone says something to us that we think is mean or that makes us upset, we need to think, okay, well, that made me upset. What is the perspective of the other person? Did they mean to make me upset? Did they think that they were just teasing me innocently and unfortunately that made me feel sad? At that point, if you start thinking about other people's perspective on things, sometimes it enables you to not be so upset about every little thing. And it helps you to be able to talk to that person and say, you know, I don't think you knew this, but that really upset me. Okay, so the last part of this is to color in all of it. Markers, crayons, pastels, whatever you want to use. I want to see rainbow up here and rainbow up here. I want to see a colored in speech bubble. Try not to color in where you wrote because that would just cover it up. I want to see a piggy colored in, and then if you want, this is the part I really liked about this lesson. This actually came from another teacher, but I really like it. If you want, you can make your pig and your wolf into cool dudes. Okay? All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed the story and the lesson, and I'll see you for our next one.